your voluntary actions. Every action counts, and they will come really handy on the Day of Judgment when we will be questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are the values of these voluntary actions. These voluntary actions actually bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more you do it, the closer you get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine if you knew the moment and the place where you are closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The closest you are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not when you are on top of Mount Everest or when you are in the International Space Station, ISS. The closest you are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you keep your head on the ground in prostration. When you are in that position, your head is on the ground in sujood, in prostration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's when you are closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it very clear. He said, أَقْرَبُ مَا يَكُونُ الْعَبْدُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ وَهُوَ سَاجِدٌ. The closest a person is to his Lord when he is in prostration. So that's when you are closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what should you do when you are closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. Make dua. The Prophet ﷺ said, فَأَكْثِرُ الدُّعَاء. Make lots of dua. When you're closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no distance left between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And next time when you are in prostration, think of it. Think of the importance of this. Think of the significance of the fact that right now you are closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nothing between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you are in prostration. Of the poor and the needy. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Tawbah, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ. Charities or sadaqat are primarily or perhaps exclusively for the poor and the needy. Faqir is the poor and miskin is the needy. That excludes anybody who is considered an affluent person, a wealthy person. So affluent people, male or female, are not eligible to receive any sadaqah. Sadaqah is not halal for them. However, according to one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "La tahillu sadaqatu li ghaniyyin illa li khas." Sadaqah or charity is not halal for an affluent person except under 5 circumstances or in 5 scenarios. What are those 5 scenarios? According to this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, number 1, if someone is fighting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if someone is in jihad, so that person is allowed to accept sadaqah. Number 2, someone who is drowning in excessive debt, that person is also allowed to accept sadaqah. Number 3, an affluent person who purchases a donated item from someone, from a needy person or from an organization. That purchase of a donated item is also halal. So someone donated a car to you, and you go to that person and you buy that donated car, or someone donated a car to the masjid or to an organization, a charitable organization, and you go and you buy that donated car or donated bicycle or jewelry, whatever it may be. So buying a donated item is also halal for an affluent person. Number 4, if your neighbor or on the same line, someone who received a donation, who is eligible to receive the donation because they are poor, they are needy, so they receive the donation and now they decide to give the same donated item as a gift to an affluent person, or they give some part of that as a gift to an affluent person, that's also halal. That actually happened in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was a girl, her name was Barira radiyallahu anha. So someone donated some food for her. And she was eligible to receive donation because she was very poor. So she received the donation happily. And then she turned around on the same day and she gave that same donation as a gift to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was about to eat that, someone pointed that out. They said, Ya Rasulullah, this was a donation. This was given as a sadaqah to that woman, Barira. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Innaha laha sadaqa wa lana hadiyya." For her, it was sadaqah, it was charity, but for us as a gift. Once she became the owner of that, then she's free to do whatever she wants to do with that. Likewise, if something was given as a donation, as sadaqah to a poor person, and then they took possession of that, now they're owner of that. So if they donate the same stuff, if they give the same stuff as a gift to an affluent person, then that becomes halal for that affluent person. And the last one is an affluent person who is on a journey away from home. If someone is traveling and they're away from home, they are also eligible to receive sadaqah, even if they are back home affluent and wealthy. They may have millions of dollars back home, but when they are away from their home and they have no access to their money, now they are eligible to receive sadaqah as well. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.